So, what if this came in one of these? I'm just saying. One of the most interesting takes that I heard last week, and it kind of just got me thinking, is that Tag is not positioning themselves or is not being ran as a business to focus on growth and really take over the market. They're in a position where they're kind of making themselves a very lucrative item, something that the hobby cannot do without. AI grading slash tag grading for to be specific, is putting themselves in a position where, like, hey, there's a lot of good benefits coming from AI grading. We're talked about the consistency of using the same machine over and over and over again. You're not subjective to different humans. I mean, if you work, you have a Timmy and then you have a Tim Dam, right? And you wouldn't want to be giving your cardboard to Tim Dam whenever Timmy can go ahead and do it. Good old reliable Timmy doesn't miss a day. He doesn't take sick leave. He doesn't take any annual leave. He just loves to work, right? While Tim Dam, he's trying to collect that paycheck and he doesn't care about anything else other than just putting in those hours and collecting that paycheck. You know who I'm talking about. But regardless, with AI grading, you take away both of them and then you put a system in place, right? And that's the beauty about AI grading. As a business, I do see another big selling point. It's that you really do have to limit the workforce, the human workforce, in the sense that you don't have to rely so much on just like humans doing majority of the work. But if your hardest workers are systems and machines, and then you do have like limited human interaction, it's a very easy scalable business. It's a business model that you can easily scale up, and there's more profit margins to be made for the company because there's less humans you have to pay. That's less pensions, benefits, anything like that. There's less of that. You can treat these people more like part-time employees rather than a respectable job. Kind of sounds like Prime's like ordeal or Amazon's main bread and butter, honestly, if we talk about it. But there's less expenses going on the human side of it. You can scale machines, systems, data centers, whatever. You can build the AI better because you can scale it up, especially if you have like distribution centers everywhere in the US. You can have a subdivision for there. Look, the more that I thought about it, I do see Tag potentially could get bought up. Like, PSA could go ahead and try to buy it, and it'll probably be better for the hobby if PSA actually bought it. But if you really want growth for AI grading, and that being the standard norm, or if AI grading was going to go ahead and overtake subjective human grading that PSA, CGC, Beckett, SGC, that they all provide, Tag would, or AI grading would have to be PSA at their game. Let's break it down. Okay, so what does PSA have over all the other companies that they consider like monopolies? Let's go ahead and start with the fact that they've made grading accessible for your regular Jimmy Johns, your Timmys, your everyone. Like, they made it accessible because now if you don't know how to do it yourself, you can put your cards together, take it to GameStop, and they'll go ahead and submit them for you. Look, if you're not great into grading, if you're not fantastic, and this is a volume game for you, they've cut out a lot of the work by making this accessible to you. I mean, if you want to go ahead and do it to yourself, I mean, you can go ahead and do it. But that's something that I would give credit to PSA, is that they made the product easier to get to the consumers. That's why PSA has blown up in the last 2 years. PSA has really gone through the roof, not because of Pokemon, but because of the explosion of TCG in general, or collectible cards, that all aspects, Pokemon, One Piece, sports, all these collectors can go ahead and grade their cards and run their little side business on that. PSA has done that. How can you make that easier? Make it easier and make it more friendly to the consumer? Real simple. I think 2 years in, right now in the hobby, everyone is going ahead and grabbing their cards, putting it in a penny sleeve, and putting it in a top loader. If people who want a card to grade, they take away that top loader and put it in a card saver. This is kind of like 101 knowledge in the hobby now. But if Amazon was to buy Tag, what they can go ahead and do with Amazon Prime, they can go ahead and add a function to your Amazon Prime account for submission, because you've already seen Amazon try to get into gaming with the acquisition of Twitch. So I see possible that Amazon would try to do that. But rather than you getting something delivered on a 2-day delivery, what if you get same-day pickup or a 2-day pickup, where you get everything ready, you leave it, you press that button, and they come and pick it up? They already have the infrastructure to do it, right? We're not talking about like, yes, I work for the post office and I deliver a lot of Amazon, but we don't really pick up a lot of Amazon return packages. That's where your third party companies come into place. That's where, you could have, it doesn't have to start like crazy, right? Because like the TCG is very popular, but not everyone is grading. But even if you had one designated driver where like they can be using a Amazon truck filled with cameras, so that driver's probably not stealing your cards, they can go ahead and pick up the cards around the city, around the town that you live at, so they can be submitted to grading. Now, an advantage like a company that Amazon would have over PSA is that PSA is dropping $200 million so they can go and improve their facilities, add more, whatever that means. Like, I wouldn't trust anything that PSA says, right? Because if they fuck up your cards, they want you to sign an NDA. So how transparent are they? Really, all of a sudden, if they mess up your product, they want you to sign an NDA, but we're still expected to believe everything that PSA is saying to us. I'm just saying, it's okay to be a little skeptical, right? But we don't know when PSA announced, they're dropping $200 million of improvements to the facilities, whatever they want to say, right? More graders, more whatever. We don't know that. It could be a publicity stunt. It could be a publicity stunt. Like, it is okay to have your little conspiracy theory on, and I believe what PSA does with the tactics that PSA has already shown to us. But you wouldn't have to worry so much with that with Amazon, because one of the things that Amazon not Amazon, but you wouldn't have to worry about that with Amazon. Because one of the things that we know that Tag wants to push is remote grading. So if you have distribution centers, there's growth. You can go ahead and build a construction for just an AI TCG grading space, a room, whatever. You can repurpose a room. You can build, you can go ahead and build and in addition to these companies, to these distribution centers, you can do something where you can put it with a bunch of AI grading machines, and you can scale the business there. All these cards don't have to go to the same place in California. They can go a couple miles away from where you live, and that way they can do their version of remote grading with a 2-day pickup, 2-day turnaround point, and getting it to you back within the same week. I do see Amazon having both the logistics, the capital, and probably I would even say maybe a little bit of I would even say the predatory behavior of trying to get their hands into another monopoly or another hobby and try to make it a bigger monopoly. They have the means to that. Remember, Amazon started as a book delivering company, and it's a different monster now. You have Amazon, who started at Prime Video, and at first maybe Prime Video was nothing compared to Netflix, but Prime Video has done well. with different shows. I mean, if you have Prime Video, you know what I'm talking about. They got Fallout 76, right? They got Invincible, they got The Boys. Like, these are great shows by today's standards. They're fantastic shows. They're beating other companies like HBO, like Netflix at their own game. They have the capital, they have the money. So they can go, if they can do that with video, they've been doing it with music, they've been doing it with games and acquiring Twitch. What makes you think that they wouldn't try to do that for grading, for TCG collectibles, into grading? And look, so they can make it more accessible to the consumer by making it easier. Humans, for the most part, are lazy. Some people might not want to deal with grading because they don't want to go with GameStop, because in order to do GameStop, you have to do the whole pro membership, all this bullshit. With Prime, most of you guys watching probably already have a Prime membership, or your spouse does. All of a sudden, you can go ahead and add another function to it to really justify the cost of it if you thought about, oh, maybe I should call it Amazon Prime. But they can make it easier to the consumer. They have the locations, the real estate, the capital to really push remote grading and make grading a faster turnaround point than something that PSA would not be able to compete. PSA is the king when it comes to grading right now, but put PSA or the collector company against the same machine that Amazon Prime or Amazon is, PSA is not going to be able to hold up its own. It will cave. I'm sorry. But whenever we talk about big money or entering the hobby, this is what I mean. Big money can enter the hobby in a different aspect of it. Big money can enter the hobby in really controlling grading. Look, and the last and final thing, the last thing that I want to talk about. Okay, so what's something else that PSA has over TAG? They have a marketplace. PSA has a marketplace at eBay. You know, you can go to the PSA vault and you can look at cards there, and you can buy cards from every single TCG for every single for every single card game, for every single different kinds of collectibles. You can buy that at the PSA vault. You know, you can buy it for hard price, or you can do auctions. Amazon already has a marketplace, a better, more friendly user marketplace than what eBay is. If you could buy slabs, you know, have something similar to the eBay's PSA vault, because they already got for automotive, they already got for different industries, but adding collectibles like a marketplace for TCG, for tags, for their own cards, they are buying, grading themselves. Like, that's a monopoly. Don't get me wrong. If Amazon really bought Tag and took over the grading, that is straight up a monopoly they could do, because they can establish their own distribution centers, or they can go ahead and buy from consumers, you know, at a better, larger scale than GameStop, right? Because you can probably sell your stuff to Amazon. They can go ahead and rip it. They can go ahead and grade those cards. They can go ahead and put them in a marketplace, and they can go ahead and get them delivered to you within the same week. Look, honestly, if PSA buys Tag, every single collector should be happy, from every single sports games, from every single TCG to sports cards to whatever. That would probably be the best case scenario. If Tag fails and they put themselves in a situation where they can be bought out by a bigger company, PSA, CGC, or any other subjective company should probably try to buy it over before a bigger company like Prime does, and they just really destroy the market ecosystem. Like, if you have a collection with PSA and all of a sudden you see Prime buy or Amazon buying Tag, first thing I would tell you to do, I mean, consider it as like, okay, then crack those cards, because your PSA slabs are eventually going to be worth worse. Nah, I can't even say that. I don't know if PSA slabs would be worthless if Amazon took over Prime. They'll probably become a little bit more limited item. But then, what is grading? like then the big debate would be, when it comes to grading cards, are you buying the product, the grading itself, the service of the card telling you what the card is, or you're really buying the label, which is really what PSA has it going for itself? Because you cannot tell me that PSA is objectively better at grading that tag. You can't tell me that. I can't believe it. I don't believe it. I won't believe it. Because when it comes to PSA grading, you can't put all grading under one grader, since you don't give those graders credit. PSA can't do that. Oh, we are better at grading. Why? Because you have Timmy grading? Because you have Tim Dam? Or, AI grading is objectively better because it's more consistent, because at least you can just say it's the tag bot per se, right? So when it comes to PSA, it's literally just a brand. So I can't say that the PSA slabs would be worthless. Some people might want to collect, but then you're collecting a faulty item. So what's the point of that? It defeats the purpose. So maybe I would say that, yeah, Amazon buying tag grading, acquiring tag grading, I would say that PSA slabs for the most part are rather useless, because with the mentality of the hobby that the new set is the best set and modern cards going for more than vintage card prices, you would eventually have to transition to tag, or to Amazon tag, or tag prime, whatever fucking name they would give it. Anyways, that's just another episode of Higher Thoughts, where I'm trying to help you guys think, outside from the same shit that you guys see every single day. If you guys enjoyed the content, if I actually made you think, or something that I said was actually interesting, I think that deserves a like, maybe considering following, and maybe subscribing, whatever platform you're watching. Aside from that, I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.